Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Superhero Wiki podcast. I am your host, Mike Smeltz. Today we're diving into the twisted, hilarious, and action-packed world of none other than the Merc with a Mouth, Deadpool. Created by Fabian Nicieza and Rob Liefeld, Deadpool first splashed onto the scene in New Mutants number 98 back in December 1990. Initially popping up as a supervillain, causing trouble for the New Mutants and X-Force, this foul-mouthed mercenary quickly evolved into the lovable anti-hero we know today. Deadpool, aka Wade Wilson, is a disfigured Canadian mercenary with some seriously insane, superhuman regenerative healing abilities. One thing that sets him apart is his non-stop joking and his unique talent for breaking the fourth wall, adding a delicious layer of humor and chaos to his stories. Now, Deadpool's fame didn't just stay contained within the pages of comic books. He's become a massive media sensation. If you've seen him on the big screen, you can probably thank Cable and Deadpool for that iconic description of Deadpool's appearance. Ryan Reynolds crossed with the Shar-Pei. So strap in, folks, because today's episode is going to be a wild ride through the history, antics, and cultural impact of the fan favorite Deadpool. Now let's dive into Deadpool's powers and abilities, which really set him apart in the Marvel Universe and make him the fascinating, unpredictable character that fans love. Deadpool's primary power is an accelerated healing factor. Written to varying degrees of efficiency by different authors, this ability is central to his character. The speed of his healing can depend on the wound's severity and his mental state. It works most efficiently when he's awake, alert, and in good spirits. They even say laughter's the best medicine, right? His healing factor is so advanced that he has survived complete incineration and decapitation multiple times. For instance, while his head usually needs to be reunited with his body to mend a decapitation, he managed to regrow his head after the Hulk pulverized it in the graphic novel Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. Can you imagine that? His brain cells share the same accelerated rejuvenation, which means he can recover from head wounds and is nearly invulnerable to psychic or telepathic powers, though this ability can be a bit inconsistent. When he was initially given his healing powers, Deadpool had some form of cancer. This power not only stopped his normal cells from dying, but did the same for the cancerous ones, giving him that heavily scarred appearance beneath his suit. Deadpool's body doesn't just heal quickly, it's also highly resistant to most drugs and toxins. It's extremely difficult for him to get intoxicated, but if he's hit with a large enough dose of something like tranquilizers, it could affect him. Interestingly, unlike Wolverine, Deadpool has a degree of pain insensitivity, often referring to his more gruesome injuries as ticklish, showcasing his twisted sense of humor. Effectively immortal, Deadpool encounters death and walks away again and again. He's even seen 800 years in the future, continuing his escapades when the new X-Force runs into him. Let's not forget Thanos, who, out of jealousy, declared Deadpool cursed with life due to Deadpool being Death's love interest. Oh, the romantic drama of immortality. Plus, his nemesis T-Ray resurrected him. Just another day in the life of Wade Wilson. He's not just about healing, though. Wade is a highly trained assassin and mercenary adept in martial arts. He's an extraordinary athlete, expert swordsman, and marksman, skilled with katanas, knives, grenades, and guns. His enhanced healing aids his impressive physical capabilities, allowing him to engage in intense exercise with minimal fatigue. Although he was once depicted with superhuman strength, that trait has since been phased out. Over the years, Deadpool has had personal teleportation devices and, during his first ongoing comic series, a device that projected holographic disguises for undercover missions. He's also quite the linguist, fluent in German, Spanish, ASL, and Japanese in addition to his native English. Since Deadpool is aware that he is a fictional character, this self-awareness adds layers to his persona, making his adventures even more unpredictable and entertaining. Let's jump into one of the most fascinating aspects of Deadpool, his personality. This isn't just about his wisecracks and sarcasm. There's a lot more to the Merc with a mouth than meets the eye. What really sets Deadpool apart is his awareness that he's a fictional comic book character. Yep, you heard that right. Deadpool frequently breaks the fourth wall, something only a handful of characters in the Marvel Universe do. He often engages with his own inner monologue, which is represented by caption boxes. In Daniel Way's run between 2008 and 2012, Deadpool's mental chatter took an even quirkier turn when a second voice in his head appeared, illustrated by a different set of caption boxes. Initially, this voice's origin was a mystery, until Deadpool Volume 3, Annual Number 1 in 2014, revealed it belonged to Madcap, a psychotic villain entangled with Deadpool at the molecular level, but that's just scratching the surface. Deadpool's backstory is as twisted and unpredictable as the character himself. His past is a foggy jumble, marred by mental conditions that render him unable to remember his personal history accurately. Is he really Wade Wilson? That's up for debate. One of his enemies, T-Ray, claims he's the real Wade Wilson, and that Deadpool is just a murderous imposter. Even more wild, at one point, the supervillain Loki claimed to be his father. Often these stories get retconned or outright ignored, adding to the perpetual confusion. Deadpool famously quipped that whether he's actually Wade Wilson depends on which writer you prefer. Now let's talk about his regenerative healing factor. Not only does it save him from permanent injuries by rapidly regenerating his cells, but it also induces psychosis and mental instability. This crazy mix is both a blessing and a curse. While it contributes to his unpredictable combat style, making him an overwhelmingly unpredictable foe, it's also the source of significant mental turmoil. Even Taskmaster, who can mimic any fighting style he observes, finds Deadpool hard to handle due to his chaotic improvisations. Taskmaster himself admits that Deadpool's talent for distraction makes him a tricky opponent. What's really intriguing is that beneath all the layers of insanity, Deadpool often displays a strong sense of morality. In the Uncanny X-Force storyline, Deadpool storms out after Wolverine justifies Phantom X killing a child, form of Apocalypse. This moment underlines that Deadpool's motivations aren't solely driven by money or chaos. In fact, Archangel reveals that Deadpool never even cashed his paychecks, hinting at a more profound sense of ethics. So there you have it. A multi-layered personality that's as chaotic as it is fascinating, making Deadpool one of Marvel's most compelling characters. All right, before we get to the character biography, let's get to our segment titled Explain a Thing, where we explain a thing. The question today is how does Wolverine's and Deadpool's healing powers differ? Wolverine's and Deadpool's healing powers, though similar, differ in several key ways. Wolverine's healing factor is a natural mutation enhanced by the Weapon X program, allowing him to recover quickly from wounds, diseases, and toxins. However, while it greatly extends his lifespan and enables him to heal from severe injuries, it doesn't make him truly immortal, and he can still age slowly and be killed under extreme circumstances. In contrast, Deadpool's healing factor, also derived from the Weapon X program using Wolverine's DNA, is far more potent and faster, enabling him to regenerate entire limbs and recover from fatal injuries almost instantaneously. Unlike Wolverine, Deadpool is essentially immortal, partly due to a curse from Thanos, and even if he's obliterated, his healing factor restores him. While Wolverine's healing factor generally has no negative side effects, Deadpool's comes with the drawback of extreme disfigurement, as his body constantly regenerates while maintaining the scars and tumors caused by his cancer. Additionally, Wolverine's healing factor helps maintain his mental stability, even though he experiences emotional and psychological issues, whereas Deadpool's healing factor repairs his brain but can't fix his mental instability, contributing to his chaotic nature and frequent fourth wall breaks. In combat, Wolverine's healing factor allows him to withstand a great deal of punishment, but he still feels pain and can be temporarily incapacitated, while Deadpool's nearly unstoppable healing factor makes him capable of recovering from almost any injury, no matter how severe. Now it's time to learn about how Deadpool has been portrayed across comics. So let's jump right into the 1990s, an era full of grunge, neon colors, and of course, the first appearance of our favorite Merc with a mouth. Deadpool burst onto the scene in The New Mutants number 98, cover dated February 1991. Created by the dynamic duo of writer Rob Liefeld and writer Fabian Nicieza, Deadpool was a mercenary capable of wisecracks that would make even Spider-Man blush. Rob Liefeld, inspired by his love for weapon-clad heroes like those in the Avengers, equipped Deadpool with all the brutal tools of the trade. And fun fact, it was Liefeld's affinity for the Teen Titans that initially shaped Deadpool's design. When Fabian Nicieza first laid eyes on Deadpool's appearance and traits, he remarked, "This is Deathstroke from Teen Titans." Hence, the name Wade Wilson was a cheeky nod to Deathstroke's real name, Slade Wilson. The influence of other iconic heroes didn't stop there. Liefeld admitted Deadpool's mask was a nod to Spider-Man's simple yet expressive design. The idea was clear. Deadpool was essentially Spider-Man, but with an edge, armed to the teeth, and with a sense of humor darker than a moonless night. Liefeld said, "He's Spider-Man, except with guns and swords." The idea was, he's a jackass. What more could we expect from a character that also drew inspiration from Wolverine, the ultimate anti-hero? And all these influences came together to create a character that felt like the rebellious love child of Marvel's most beloved heroes. Deadpool's backstory even ties into the X-Men universe, hinting at his involvement with the Weapon X program, which is intimately linked to Wolverine himself. In a winking nod to the fans, Deadpool was cunningly given a healing factor similar to Wolverine's and hailed from Canada. Deadpool's debut in The New Mutants saw him hired as a mercenary by Tolliver to go after Cable and the New Mutants. This kicked off a series of recurring appearances in X-Force, solidifying his role as a recurring and complex character. His popularity quickly skyrocketed, landing him guest spots in numerous Marvel Comics titles like The Avengers, Daredevil, and Heroes for Hire. In 1993, Deadpool was awarded his own miniseries, The Circle Chase, penned by Fabian Nicieza and penciled by Joe Madureira, which was a relative hit. This was followed by a second miniseries in 1994, written by Mark Waid, who later admitted he might have reconsidered if he knew what a creep Deadpool was. Waid was humorously exasperated by Deadpool's morally gray antics. By 1997, Deadpool had built up enough of a fan base to score his very own ongoing series. With writing powerhouses Joe Kelly, Christopher Priest, and Gail Simone taking turns, the first volume of Deadpool took off. This series truly captured the essence of Deadpool, making him a cult favorite thanks to its action comedy style, angst-ridden yet pop culture savvy narratives, and an unforgettable supporting cast. Characters like Blind Al, his annoyed yet endearing prisoner, Den Mother, and Weasel, his tech-savvy sidekick, became fan favorites. Deadpool might have transitioned from villain to morally ambiguous anti-hero, but his unique brand of chaos remained intact. Moving into the 2000s, Deadpool's solo series had quite the roller coaster. His original run lasted until issue number 69. Then it transitioned into a new title with a character named Agent X in 2002. This switch was part of a broader overhaul involving X-Men related comics, where Cable became Soldier X and X-Force turned into X-Statix. The storyline suggested that Deadpool met his end in an explosion against the supervillain Black Swan. Despite this apparent demise, Deadpool's manager, Sandy Brandenburg, established Agency X with the enigmatic Alex Hayden, who took on the moniker Agent X. Of course, Deadpool couldn't stay dead for long and made his return to wrap up the series in issues 13-15. Just 2 years later, in 2004, Deadpool began headlining once again, this time in Cable and Deadpool, authored by Fabian Nicieza. In this series, he paired up with his erstwhile foe, Cable, embarking on one wild adventure after another. Though it garnered a dedicated fan base, this title, too, was canceled after 50 issues, making way for Cable's solo series in March 2008. Deadpool was far from sidelined. He popped up in Wolverine Origins, and soon after, Daniel Way and Paco Medina launched a brand new Deadpool title in September 2008. The 2008 series Kicked off as a tie-in to Secret Invasion, the first story arc had Deadpool collaborating with Nick Fury to get his hands on critical intel about exterminating the Skrull Queen, Varanka. However, the ever-scheming Norman Osborn swiped this valuable information, setting off a chain of chaotic events. This arc also heralded the return of Bob, agent of Hydra, and culminated in an epic clash with Osborn's new Thunderbolts team during the Magnum Opus storyline, which crisscrossed between Deadpool Vol. 2 number 8 to 9 and Thunderbolts number 130, 131. In issue number 15, Deadpool had a change of heart and decided to play the hero, which naturally led to friction with actual heroes like Spider-Man, especially after their recent run-in in the Amazing Spider-Man number 611, part of The Gauntlet. This newfound heroism set the stage for a 3-issue arc where he battled Hitmonkey, who made his grand entrance in a digital-to-print one-shot that same month, 2009, proved to be another milestone year. Deadpool, Merc with a Mouth debuted in July, crafted by Victor Gischler, with artwork from Bong Dazo. This series saw Deadpool partnering with the decapitated zombified version of himself from Marvel Zombies 3 and 4, affectionately known as Headpool. As if one series wasn't enough, October 2009 saw the release of a special anniversary issue, Deadpool number 900. Another ongoing series, Deadpool Team Up, kicked off in November with a funky twist. The issue numbers counted down from number 899. Written by Fred Van Lente and illustrated by Dalibor Talajic, this series followed Deadpool as he teamed up with various Marvel heroes, including Hercules. On top of all that, Deadpool joined the ranks of the new Uncanny X-Force team, adding another significant chapter to his ever-expanding and unpredictable narrative. Another Deadpool series by Gischler titled Deadpool Corps was released in April 2010. Besides Deadpool himself, this series featured alternate versions of Deadpool, including a female version of himself named Wanda Wilson, Lady Deadpool, who debuted in Deadpool, Merc with a Mouth number 7, Headpool, the Marvel Zombies universe incarnation, now reduced to a severed head, and 2 new characters, Kidpool, a child, and Dopool, a dog. The series lasted 12 issues. Marvel also published Deadpool titles through the Marvel Knights and Max imprints, Deadpool, Wade Wilson's War by Dwayne Swierczynski and Jason Pearson, and Deadpool Max by David Lapham and Kyle Baker. Deadpool Volume 2 was written by Daniel Way and drawn by El Garza. In the story arc Dead, Wade is cured of his healing ability and becomes mortal. As a side effect, he also has his old, unscarred face once again. Although he spent the majority of the story arc looking forward to dying, he suppresses his desires in order to protect his friend and sidekick Hydra Bob. After he loses his healing factor, Wilson claims he felt more alive than ever. However, after a harsh beating from intelligentsia, Wade realized that he had let his ability to heal compensate for skill. So he decided to ask for help from Taskmaster in training. Taskmaster asked Wilson to help him steal Pym particles from S.H.I.E.L.D., but actually, he allowed Black Box to study Wade in order to prepare his vengeance against Wilson, even letting him know Deadpool lost his healing factor. Wade managed to defeat Black Box, Black Tom, and Black Swan, but in the process, his face was burned and disfigured again. Former FBI agent Allison Kemp wanted to get revenge on Deadpool because of his involvement in an accident which left her in a wheelchair, and she called other enemies of Deadpool such as T-Ray and Slayback and trained them to kill Deadpool. Deadpool infiltrated their base and managed to get T-Ray and Slayback killed when Kemp was about to kill herself in an explosion that would also kill Wade. He convinced her not to attack him. At that moment, he was surprised by the returned evil Deadpool, who informed Wade that the serum they took was not permanent, which was why Wade's face did not heal or a finger he lost grew back. Daniel Way's Deadpool series concluded with issue 63 as part of Marvel's Marvel Now initiative. A new Deadpool ongoing series was launched. He also became a member of the Thunderbolts. In the 27th issue of his new series, as part of All New Marvel Now, Deadpool was married for the 3rd time. Initially a secret, his bride was revealed in the webcomic Deadpool, The Gauntlet to be Shiklah, Queen of the Undead. Deadpool also discovers that he has a daughter, Eleanor, from a former flame named Carmelita. During the events of Original Sin, it was revealed that Deadpool was tricked into killing his parents by a scientist known as Butler, who abducted Eleanor and gave her to his brother. However, Deadpool does not know about it. Much later, he clashed with Carnage, believing the universe was telling the latter to defeat him. After several fights and getting torn to pieces, Deadpool bonds with 4 symbiotes, Riot, Phage, Lasher, and Agony. Playing mind games, Deadpool tricks Shriek by using his shape-shifting abilities to make her disoriented and having her flee. After the symbiotic Deadpool and Carnage fought again, Deadpool captures Shriek and forces her to impersonate himself, tricking Carnage into almost killing her in the process. Feeling broken after a mental breakdown, Carnage allowed himself to be arrested and was placed in an unlocked cell. While sitting in the cell until he was his own self again, Carnage swore vengeance on Deadpool. Deadpool, after defeating Carnage, gives the 4 symbiotes to a war dog who helped Deadpool fight Carnage to deliver them to the government. During the Axis storyline, Deadpool appears as a member of Magneto's unnamed supervillain group during the fight against Red Skull's Red Onslaught form. The group of villains becomes inverted to heroes. After a spell cast by Scarlet Witch and Doctor Doom, this group was later named the Astonishing Avengers. This Deadpool, referred to as Zenpool, was pivotal in turning Apocalypse to fighting the inverted Avengers. Deadpool's death occurs in Deadpool number 250. Deadpool faces off in a final showdown with Ultimatum and Flag Smasher, killing all of them, and gives up the Deadpool identity, wishing to have a better life. He, along with his family and friends, and presumably everyone on Earth, are all killed when the Earth collides with an alternate universe's Earth. Deadpool laments that the Secret Wars should have stayed an Avengers event, but then dies at peace, content that everybody else is dying with him. 8 months after the events of Secret Wars and the restoration of Earth, Deadpool is seen working for Steve Rogers. After stealing some potentially life-saving chemicals needed by an ailing rogue, he is offered membership in the Avengers Unity Squad. Deadpool Vol. 4 began in 2016. In the course of the following months, Deadpool's popularity skyrocketed after the mercenary Solo impersonated him to piggyback on Deadpool's reputation and take jobs at a higher pay rate. One of Solo's jobs in Washington, D.C., had Deadpool's public opinion drastically change for the better when he saved an ambassador from his telepathically manipulated agents. After learning of Solo's impersonation, Deadpool came up with the idea to form a group of mercenaries called the Mercs for money to extend his reach across the globe. However, Deadpool's newfound popularity forced him to leave his family behind, fearing his enemies could endanger them. Deadpool also joined the Avengers Unity division and used his popularity as a means of funding the team with the profit from the merchandise. Madcap additionally returned to Deadpool's life. Though Wade was unaware, his experience inside his mind left Madcap emotionally damaged and vengeful. Madcap initially posed as an ally, joining the Mercs for money, but eventually showed his true intentions after he was discovered impersonating Deadpool to defame and threaten his loved ones. Seeing as he had had enough fun, Madcap used an alien weapon to molecularly disintegrate himself. For his second coming, the villain had Deadpool unwittingly become the carrier of a deadly airborne virus with which he infected his family. Wade found a cure, though had to resort to Cable's evil clone, Strife, to find it. Around this time, tensions between Shikla's domain and the surface world sparked an invasion of Manhattan from Monster Metropolis, which in turn led to Shikla divorcing Deadpool, opting to return to Dracula instead. Not long after Wade joined the Avengers Unity division, the real Steve Rogers was secretly supplanted by an evil fascist counterpart from another timeline that operated as a Hydra sleeper agent within the superhero community. When Phil Coulson became suspicious of Steve, Rogers convinced Deadpool to kill him, claiming that Coulson had gone rogue. A short time afterward, Captain America's machinations resulted in Hydra rising to power, taking over the United States of America. When Hydra's conquest had barely begun, Preston found out about Coulson's death and confronted Deadpool about it. The fight ended in Preston's death. As Hydra's empire grew stronger, Wade joined its own version of the Avengers out of blind loyalty for Captain America. Plagued by guilt, Wade held back when tasked with hunting down the rebel alliance known as the Underground, and eventually helped behind the scenes to lay part of the foundation of Hydra's eventual defeat. With his mistakes costing the lives of two of his friends, the love of his daughter, and any respect the world had for him, Deadpool turned his back on what little remained of the life he had built. Now, time for knowledge is power. A burning truth or question we want answered. With Deadpool, it's easy. How do you kill Deadpool? Killing Deadpool is nearly impossible due to his accelerated healing factor and immortality. But there are a few scenarios where it might be feasible. If Deadpool were completely disintegrated at a molecular level, his healing factor might not be able to regenerate his body, although even extreme destruction has not always stopped him. Disabling or neutralizing his healing factor could allow for his death through more conventional means, such as decapitation. Additionally, powerful magical or cosmic forces might be able to bypass or overwhelm his healing ability, potentially leading to his demise. Certain cursed or magical weapons like the Muramasa blade, which can nullify healing factors, could also theoretically kill him. Lastly, divine intervention from a god or cosmic entity could revoke his immortality or directly end his life. However, due to his resilience and the curse of immortality placed on him by Thanos, most attempts to kill Deadpool would likely only incapacitate him temporarily, rather than result in permanent death. Thanks for listening to the Superhero Wiki podcast. We've got tons more episodes coming, focusing on not just specific superheroes, but entire story arcs as well. Follow along here and on YouTube. Thanks for listening.